Can Ruben Amorim survive this now, Jamie?
I think it's going to be tough for him. It's something we're going to, analyse and look at the game from the weekend at Brentford. And I think the sad thing about it for Manchester United probably supporters right now is it's not really a shock result now. You look at Man United going to Brentford the early game of the weekend, and I don't think many people would predict Manchester United to go and win. I don't think they would. Anyone looking at the coupons or whatever they were predicting when they were doing the bets maybe over the weekend, I don't think many people are predicting Manchester United to win at Brentford. And Brentford going into that game, I think, were fourth from bottom. And probably that's the sad state of affairs where they find themselves.
Where does the blame lie? Where's the issue? It's not the system 1 week, according to Amorim, and now he's saying he doesn't even know which team is going to turn up and he's the manager. That's quite worrying if you're a United fan.
It is worrying. And again, it's something we're going to get into in a bit more detail tonight. But, I mean, the system, you keep talking about the system, it doesn't suit the players that are there. I totally understand that. But the powers that be that employed the manager knew what system he played and that's what gave him success. So if you've had success as a manager, that's what you're always going to go back to or fall back on when things aren't going well. So I can understand that he sticks with the system because that's his baby, that's his thing, that's what he does. So the people in charge at Manchester United picked a manager who doesn't sort of stand by or signify, certainly going forward, the traditions of that club going back, I don't know, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, because, it's a team, it's a big pitch, fast wingers, and the system he plays just don't employ that at all. So it always felt a strange fit in terms of the system from the very start.
Manchester United still have not managed to collect back-to-back victories under Ruben Amorim. Of the 17 ever-present Premier League teams since he was appointed, Manchester United rank 15th. They've picked up 1 point more than Tottenham, and they are level on points with the next worst, West Ham United, who have got an extra game which comes tonight. Then come Wolves. The other point to make is that Wolves have changed their manager, West Ham have changed their manager, Tottenham have changed their manager as well, and then a big gap to Fulham and Everton. So that's the context of his performance as Manchester United manager. And then you look how he's compared with other Manchester United managers since Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge. And many of these haven't been considered successful, but look at the start that he's made from those first 33 games. He's almost on we almost need another screen to put him on. The margins are absolutely huge, which is why there is so much concern, it feels right now, amongst Manchester United supporters. And here's another one, and this is for even wider context. When you talk about other managers in Premier League history who've been given 33 games and having been appointed in existing Premier League clubs, there aren't actually that many. So we've taken out promoted managers. There aren't many who've performed like this. And at the bottom of that list is Steve Keane with Blackburn, 29 points. Roberto Martinez with Wigan. I think this is relevant as well. The clubs they've been in charge of. Dave Merrington at Southampton. Egil Olsen, the Norwegian. You'll remember at Wimbledon, Ozzy Ardiles didn't have a great start at Spurs either. I think, Duncan, you were involved.
I was involved in the 98, 99 one. To be fair, I think I got sold then. I got sold to Newcastle around about 1998, if I remember right.
So of those managers who've been appointed to existing Premier League clubs, he is one of the worst over this time period.
Yeah.
Do you think that the club is particularly relevant here?
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Let's be fair, he's a lucky boy still to be in a job. I think he's got a bit of credit on what he did last year, coming to Man United when they were struggling a wee bit. So he came last year, he didn't really want to come last season. So I think they've given him a wee bit of credit in the bank there. But look, for a team like Man United, you see the stats there, the stats are for there to always see. So he's very lucky to stay in his job. But hopefully he gets another few games, you know what I mean? Because we always want the managers to stay in their jobs and be successful. But it's not good enough, is it?
Well, it's Sunderland next, and then it's the international break. Why do you think he is still in a job?
I think he's still in a job because I think the powers that be and Manchester United have made that many mistakes so far in decisions that they've made on and off the pitch that they almost don't want to admit right now that they've made another. And this has been a disaster for Manchester United, but also Ruben Amorim. What he did at Sporting Lisbon was fantastic. You know, he looked like the next big thing as a manager, but bringing a manager like that in terms of the system that he played, I don't think ever really suited the club of the traditions of Manchester United. And the quicker Manchester United make the decision on the manager, I think it's better for everybody, because, as I said, it's been a disaster for club, but also the manager. And we're only waiting for the inevitable, I think. Unfortunately, as Duncan's just said, you don't want to see people lose their jobs, but this has to end as quickly as possible.
Is that group of players better than it is looking?
I think so. I think they are. But I think maybe it's the system. You know, maybe he talks about the system a lot, doesn't he? He's not changed the system at all. He's not trying to find a way. When you're losing games, you've got to find a way to win. You just can't keep on going with the same system all the time. So you need to try and find a way to win. And he's never done that. He's stuck to the same system. He needs to change it a little bit. Maybe going to a back four, go back more traditional Manchester United. But to be fair, when they recruited them into play this formation.
100%.
They knew what they were getting.
They knew what they were getting. They wanted that formation. They wanted that style of play, and they've got that.
I think you're right. I'm big on that. I mean, I've never been one of them saying he has to change his system. A lot of managers speak and say, I've got a certain the system might change, but my style doesn't. His baby is his system. It's like asking Jurgen Klopp not to press or Pep Guardiola not to play short passes through the middle of the pitch. This is what he is. That's on Barada or Jason Wilcox or Jim Ratcliffe. They brought him in. Talking about him changing centre-backs, a stat came out that he changed in his 49 games, 42 times he's changed the back three. He did that at Sporting Lisbon. You knew that when he came in, the powers that be. So that's the big problem there. But the problem, I think, when you look at Ruben Amorim, I think every other Premier League manager would look at Manchester United and think, I could do a better job than that. And the only positive for Manchester United is they haven't gone all in on his system. They've gone all in on him in terms of giving money to spend, but they haven't bought lots of centre-backs. They haven't brought lots of wing-backs. The players they bought in the summer can easily be flipped into a back four, getting Bruno Fernandes as the number 10, Brian Mbeumo right wing, maybe Cunha to the left, Sesko up front. And I think a competent football manager could get that Manchester United team in that system to the European places, or certainly fighting for them.
We asked our fans, again, on the Fanalysis app, those verified Manchester United fans, to answer this question on whether he should be given more time. And actually, 46% still say, yes, he should. How does this play out, Duncan, if he continues to play the same way, the same tactics?
Well, obviously, he's hoping that the results are going to change, aren't they? But look, these records suggest that they're not going to change. So, unfortunately, if he doesn't get the results, he's going to lose his job, isn't he? It's as simple as that. He's going to lose his jobs. I think the 46% of them are Liverpool fans there who voted. I just got that in there.
I can tell you they're not. They're all verified Manchester United fans. And I suppose this is something about Manchester United. They do like to stick with a manager, don't they?
Listen, there has been a lot of change. You just highlighted some of those managers, but it wasn't a case where the club were changing managers every 6 months or 12 months. A lot of those managers that we looked at there, Jose, Louis van Gaal, even Ollie, you're talking 2 or 3 years, and I think that's a decent enough amount of time for a manager. But Ruben Amorim's probably not been in the job for 12 months yet, but it couldn't have gone any worse. And I feel for him, he's a young manager, he's had a great start in his managerial career. What he did was really special at Sporting Lisbon. But those results for a club of that stature is just beyond belief. And as I said, you don't want to see anybody lose the job, but I think it's just better for everybody if they shake hands and move on.
Manchester United's all-time leading goal scorer, Wayne Rooney, has launched a withering attack on the club in the wake of their latest defeat. He says the soul has gone from the club and he has no longer any faith in Ruben Amorim to turn it around. The pressure on Amorim has increased following the 3-1 loss at Brentford, their third defeat in the opening 6 Premier League games of the season. Incredibly, United are yet to win consecutive league games since Amorim was appointed almost a year ago. Speaking on his BBC podcast, he said, "It's just not good enough. From the manager, from the coaches, from the players, what is going on at Manchester United? I don't recognise the whole football club. I don't see players fighting. I don't see character. I don't see the desire to win. I don't see ability. I don't see match winners. I go to a game expecting us to lose or maybe pick up a point. There are players that don't deserve to wear that shirt. This is not acceptable, what is going on. I'm not seeing anything which is giving me any confidence. There needs to be big changes. Manager, players, whatever that is. Whatever it takes to get Manchester United back. There has to be a message of where this club is going. At the minute, we're all sitting there waiting for it to crumble. The culture of that football club has gone. I see it on a daily basis. I see staff losing jobs, people walking out of jobs. I've got 2 kids at that football club. And I really hope this doesn't affect what they're doing. What I'm seeing at that football club is not Manchester United. I honestly hope he can turn it around, and he does. But after everything I've seen, honestly, I've got no faith in it. Wayne Rooney, not the only former United captain to speak out this weekend.
I felt yesterday for the first time, just through instinct, watching it on the television, seeing players' faces, seeing players' body language, that there might be an element of players really doubting the system and what's going on. Ruben Amorim's had a pre-season. He's had a week now in between each of his games nearly, or most of the weeks, because Manchester United aren't in Europe. Yet the performances are as poor as ever. The results are catastrophic, really, in Manchester United terms. I am very, very concerned, I really am, because the manager's obviously a good coach. He's had a great record in Portugal, but it's not clicking at all.
Obviously doesn't help, but Wayne's doing a job now, and he's got to give his opinion. You know, it's a different career path what he's got now, and his opinion is what everyone sees. You know, he's not digging them out for any reason other than they are poor. I'm sure he wants them to be great again. I have no reason for them to want Man United to be great, but I still want the big teams to be the biggest and the best, and they're miles away from that. But Wayne's got an agenda how he wants them to be. He wants them to be better. You can see there, this is not Man United. This is Man United, Wayne. This is for a very long time now. You know, we say this is not Man United what you played in or what I remember and I played against. They're miles away from that. He's correct with that, but this is Man United for a lot of years now.
The pressure piling onto Amorim then as two legends speak out against him. Tim Sherwood said it's absolutely right that Amorim is under the spotlight and believes he is fortunate to even be in the position he's in at Old Trafford.
When you ask me, is he under pressure? I would say no. I feel like he should be, but I don't think he is. I think they will give him this season. I really do. And that means he's already been in the job a year. We're seeing no improvement. We keep talking about the three at the back. We talked about different personnel coming in, playing staff. He's had the windows to bring the players in. Perhaps he hasn't got what he wants. How many more windows are we actually going to give him? And when are we going to see an improvement, even gradual? We're not seeing anything. We're not seeing no improvement, but what we are seeing, a man who sticks his chest out, certainly in the press conferences. When I see him on the touchline, he's got his head down. He's hiding in the dugout at Grimsby. But when I see him in front of the press, he fronts it up. He looks and he talks brilliantly. But he's probably talked so well that he's bluffed his way into a job there at Man United because we're not seeing anything. He's done very well in Portugal. A lot of managers do very well in Portugal. It's an inferior league to the Premier League, you know, where you can build sides on the job. You know, when you've got 3 or 4 games in Portugal, we're really competitive. The other times, you can just play. You can experiment with different formations. Can't do that in the Premier League. You do that in the Premier League, you come unstuck. And that is what he's been doing since he's been at the football club. 34 points in 33 games or something like that. It's not good enough. It's relegation form.